Once upon a time, in a big city full of noise and tall buildings, there lived a very rich man named Mr. Thompson. He owned many companies, drove expensive cars, and lived in a beautiful mansion with swimming pools, golden lights, and marble floors. People respected him. Everyone called him the successful man. But Mr. Thompson's most valuable treasure was not his money. It was his only son, Ryan. Ryan was 12 years old. He had everything a boy could dream of. A big bedroom with a huge TV, the latest video games, a private tutor, and a driver to take him everywhere. He never walked. He never waited in line. He never heard the word no. Every morning, Ryan ate breakfast made by a chef. Every evening, his clothes were washed and ironed by house staff. He didn't know how to clean his shoes. He never made his own bed. At school, Ryan was known as the rich kid. He often told his classmates, "My house is bigger than yours. My car is faster than yours. My life is better than yours." Ryan wasn't a bad boy. But he was proud. Too proud. One evening, Mr. Thompson sat in his office, reading a report. Suddenly, he heard his son shouting, "Why is the soup cold? I want pizza. Why do we have to eat vegetables like poor people?" The father looked up and walked into the dining room. Ryan was pushing his plate away. "Son," he said gently, "you need to be grateful. Not everyone has food on their table." "But we are rich, Dad," Ryan replied. "We don't have to live like them. Poor people are just lazy." Mr. Thompson froze. These words hit him hard. Lazy? Poor people? Like they don't matter? He realized something very serious. His son knew a lot about money, but nothing about life. He decided that it was time to change that. That night, Mr. Thompson couldn't sleep. He walked around his big mansion, thinking deeply. He looked at the gold on the walls, the expensive furniture, the shining floors. "What have I done?" he whispered. "I gave him everything. Except wisdom." Then, he smiled. He had a plan. The next morning, he went to Ryan and said, "Son, I want you to go on a short trip." "Where? Paris? Dubai? London?" "No," said Mr. Thompson. "To the countryside. You'll stay with a family in a small village." "What? Why would I do that?" Ryan laughed. "They're poor. I don't want to go." "Exactly," said his father. "That's why you must go." Ryan was shocked. "Are you punishing me, Dad?" "No," his father answered. "I'm giving you a gift. You'll thank me later." Ryan wanted to refuse. He was angry. He was confused. But he couldn't say no to his father. The next day, a car took Ryan to a village he had never heard of. No phone. No Wi-Fi. No games. Only trees, dirt roads, and small houses. Ryan had no idea that this trip would change his life forever. The car drove for hours, far away from the city. Tall buildings disappeared. No more traffic, no more loud horns. The road became narrow, and the houses became smaller. Ryan looked out the window, bored and annoyed. "Why is everything so slow here?" he mumbled. "This place looks old. Poor. Dirty." Finally, the car stopped in front of a tiny house made of mud bricks and wood. There was no gate, no glass windows, no fancy lights. A smiling man came out to welcome him. "You must be Ryan," the man said kindly. "I'm Uncle Ben. Welcome to our home." Behind him stood his wife, Aunt Mary, and two kids, Leo and Maya. They looked about Ryan's age. Ryan stepped out of the car slowly. He looked around. No electricity. No paved road. No swimming pool. Just trees, animals, and a lot of silence. He forced a smile. "Hi," he said coldly. Uncle Ben showed Ryan his room. It was very simple, just a mat on the floor, a small table, and a candle. "Where's the bed?" Ryan asked. "You'll sleep on the mat." "It's soft enough," Uncle Ben replied. Ryan didn't say anything. He didn't want to be rude, but he was already counting the days until he could go home. That night, they all sat on the ground for dinner. There were no forks or knives. Just hands and warm rice with vegetables. Everyone thanked God before eating. Ryan didn't say anything. He missed his pizza. He missed his phone. He missed his giant TV. The next morning, Ryan woke up to the sound of chickens. The sun was shining through the small window. "Time to fetch water." Leo shouted happily. "Water?" Ryan said. "Don't you have a tap?" Leo laughed. "No. We get water from the well." "Come, I'll show you." They walked for 15 minutes, each carrying a small bucket. Ryan was sweating. His feet hurt. He didn't like the smell of the animals around. At the well, a few other kids were already there. They greeted Ryan with big smiles and curious eyes. "Hello, city boy." They laughed, but not in a mean way. They were just happy to see someone new. Over the next few days, Ryan learned many things. How to wash his own clothes by hand. How to collect firewood. How to help in the garden. How to cook simple meals. How to walk barefoot without complaining. At first, he hated it. But slowly, something began to change. He started to smile. He started to laugh with Leo and Maya. He started to sleep peacefully, even on the floor. And most of all, he started to see something he never saw before. Happiness, without money. One evening, they all sat outside after dinner. The sky was full of stars. No buildings. No lights. Just the moon, the wind, and soft laughter. Aunt Mary played music on an old wooden flute. Uncle Ben told stories from his childhood. The kids listened, their eyes full of wonder. Ryan looked up at the stars. He felt something deep in his chest. Something he couldn't explain. "This feels nice," he whispered. Maya looked at him and smiled. "This is our favorite time of day. We call it the hour of peace." Ryan nodded. He had never felt this kind of peace before. Ryan had now spent 4 full days in the village. At first, he counted the hours, waiting to go home. But now, something was different. He no longer asked about Wi-Fi. He no longer talked about his big TV. He even forgot what day it was. He was starting to live, and to feel. One afternoon, Maya offered him half of her mango. "You don't have to," Ryan said. "It's yours." "We always share here," Maya replied with a smile. "Even if it's small, we share." Ryan was surprised. Back in the city, he had full pizzas just for himself. He never shared. In fact, he used to get angry if anyone touched his food. Now, he was eating a simple mango, and it tasted better than anything he ever had. That night, Uncle Ben told a story by the fire. "When I was a boy," he said, "we had only one pair of shoes for 5 brothers. We took turns wearing them to school. Ryan's eyes grew wide. 1 pair of shoes? For 5 people? Uncle Ben nodded. Yes. We were poor in money, but we were rich in love. My mother taught us that love is the only wealth that grows when you give it away. Ryan looked down at his new sneakers. He had 5 pairs just for himself at home. And yet, he never felt truly happy in them. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about Uncle Ben's story. The next day, Ryan asked if he could help in the garden. Uncle Ben handed him a small tool. Let's plant sweet potatoes. Ryan got on his knees and started digging. The soil was warm. The air was fresh. Birds were singing. It was hard work. His hands got dirty. His back hurt. But for the first time in his life, he didn't complain. When they finished, Uncle Ben smiled. Good job, Ryan. Ryan felt proud. Not because he had money, but because he had worked. That evening, an old woman came to visit. She was wearing torn clothes and walked with a stick. Yet, her smile was warm and her eyes were kind. Everyone stood up to greet her with respect. Who is she? Ryan asked Maya. She's the storyteller of the village. She's poor, but everyone listens to her. She has wisdom. Ryan sat quietly as the woman told a story about a boy who had everything but didn't know how to love, until he met people who had nothing but gave everything. Ryan felt like she was talking about him. Later that night, Ryan wrote in his notebook for the first time. I used to think rich meant big houses, fast cars, and lots of money. But maybe being rich means something else. Maybe it means being kind, being useful, and having people who love you, even when you have nothing. He paused. He smiled. And for the first time, he felt truly rich. It had been 1 week. The car returned to the village to bring Ryan back to the city. When he heard the sound of the engine, Ryan didn't jump with joy. Instead, his heart felt heavy. Leo gave him a wooden slingshot. Maya hugged him and gave him a drawing she made. Uncle Ben put his hand on Ryan's shoulder and said, You are always welcome here, my boy. This is your home too. Ryan's eyes were wet. Thank you. I'll never forget what I've learned here. As the car drove away, Ryan looked back. He waved until the village disappeared behind the trees. He wasn't the same boy anymore. The moment he entered the mansion, the butler greeted him. Welcome back, Master Ryan. Would you like a cold drink? Ryan smiled and said, Water is fine. Just water. He walked into his huge room. Everything was shiny and clean. The bed was soft, the lights were automatic. But somehow, it felt empty. He opened his wardrobe and looked at his 10 pairs of shoes. He touched his game console. He turned on the big TV. But none of it made him feel the way the stars in the village did. None of it made him smile like the laughter around the fire. That evening, Mr. Thompson called him to his office. Welcome back, son. Tell me, how was your trip? Ryan sat down quietly. He looked at his father. His eyes were not the same. They were deeper now, more thoughtful. Dad, he began slowly, I thought I knew what life was. I thought we were rich. But I was wrong. Mr. Thompson leaned forward, curious. In the village, Ryan continued, they don't have much. No phones. No cars. No fancy things. But they have time for each other. They eat together. They laugh together. They help each other. And they're happy. The father smiled. What did you learn? He asked gently. Ryan took a deep breath. We have a pool, but they have a river. We have lights, but they have stars. We have big meals, but they grow their food with love. We have security walls, but they have friends all around them. We buy everything, but they create joy from nothing. He paused. I think, we may be the poor ones. Mr. Thompson looked at his son with tears in his eyes. Not because he was sad, but because he was proud. You've learned in 1 week what most people never learn in a lifetime, he said softly. I sent you there to see the world. But you came back seeing your heart. They hugged for the first time in a long time. It wasn't a rich man's hug. It was a father's hug, full of warmth, pride, and love. The next morning, something unexpected happened. Ryan made his own bed. He had never done that before. The housekeeper walked in and stopped, surprised. Did someone help you, Master Ryan? No, he said with a smile. I want to start doing some things myself. At school, Ryan was no longer the same rich kid. He listened more. He shared his snacks with others. When one of his classmates dropped his lunch, Ryan gave him half of his own. Why are you being so nice today? One friend asked. Ryan shrugged. Because I've seen kids with almost nothing share everything. His friends were curious. So one day, Ryan stood in front of the class and told them the whole story, the village, the people, the food, the laughter, and the stars. Even the teacher listened closely. Back at home, Ryan asked his father a big question. Can we visit the village again? And maybe, help them? Mr. Thompson smiled. What do you have in mind? They need better tools for their garden. Maybe a water pump, some books for the kids, and solar lights so they can study at night. Instead of buying more shoes or video games, Ryan used part of his allowance to start a small project. He called it the Light of Kindness. It wasn't a charity. It was a friendship between his world and theirs. One afternoon, the housekeeper saw Ryan sitting under a tree in the backyard, reading a book and smiling. No phone today? She asked. No need, he replied. Peace doesn't need a screen. He started to enjoy the simple things. Watching the sky at sunset. Walking barefoot in the garden. Talking with his grandparents without checking the time. Writing in his notebook. He was not just growing. He was transforming. Mr. Thompson also changed. He stopped some of his meetings on weekends. Instead, he spent time with Ryan, cooking, gardening, even learning how to make a fire like in the village. You taught me something, son, he said one evening. Money can build big things. But only love builds people. 2 months later, Ryan and his father returned to the village. This time, they didn't come in silence. They came with joy, and with purpose. The car was full of boxes. Books for the children. Solar lamps for the homes. A small water pump for the garden. Shoes and clothes collected from Ryan's school. A message written by Ryan himself. Thank you for teaching me how to see with my heart. As they arrived, the entire village gathered. Children ran toward them, shouting. Ryan! Ryan! Leo hugged him tightly. Maya gave him flowers. Aunt Mary cried with joy. Uncle Ben smiled as he shook Mr. Thompson's hand. You came back, sir. Yes, Mr. Thompson said. My son brought me here, with his heart. They opened the boxes one by one. The kids screamed with excitement when they saw the books. A young boy shouted. Now we can read even at night. The adults smiled when they saw the tools for the garden. And when the solar lights were installed, the entire village lit up for the first time after dark. But the biggest gift wasn't in a box. It was Ryan himself. He sat down with the children, read them stories, helped plant seeds, and played barefoot in the dirt like he had always belonged there. At sunset, the village gathered under the big tree. Uncle Ben asked Ryan if he wanted to say something. Ryan stood in front of everyone. His voice was soft, but full of truth. When I first came here, I thought I was rich. But I didn't know how to cook, how to share, or how to say thank you. You all taught me those things. You showed me love, kindness, and strength. You gave me what my money couldn't. He paused. My father gave me the gift of this trip. But you gave me the gift of understanding life. The crowd clapped. Some cried. Even Mr. Thompson had tears in his eyes. That night, under the stars, Ryan didn't feel like a guest. He felt like family. They sat around the fire, told stories, and laughed late into the night. Just like before. But this time, he wasn't learning the lesson. He was living it. Ryan grew from a boy into a young man. He finished school, went to university, and began working. But he never forgot the village. Never forgot the people who taught him the true meaning of wealth. At university, Ryan studied business, but differently from before. He wanted to build companies that helped others, not just make money. He started small projects. Helping poor farmers sell their crops. Creating schools where children could learn without needing expensive books. Building clean water systems for villages without wells. His friends asked him, "Why do you care so much about places far away?" Ryan smiled and said, "Because I learned that true success means lifting others up, not just lifting yourself." Back home, Ryan's father had changed too. Mr. Thompson sold part of his businesses and invested in social projects. "I realized," he said one day, "that money without purpose is empty. But money with love can change the world." The mansion was still big, but it was full of people, friends, helpers, students, and family. It was no longer just a house. It was a home. The village kept growing too. With Ryan's help, new wells were dug. Children had new books. Families had solar lights to read and cook at night. Every time Ryan visited, he was greeted like a hero. But he felt like a humble student who still had much to learn. One day, Ryan sat with his younger brother, telling him the story of the village. "It's not about how much money you have," he said. "It's about how much love you give. How much kindness you show. That is the true treasure." His brother listened closely. Ryan smiled. He knew the story would live on. Ryan often looked at the stars and remembered that quiet night under the big tree. He understood something important. Wealth is not counted in dollars or things. It is counted in love, in respect, and in the happiness we create. And that made him the richest man in the world. Ryan's journey from a spoiled rich boy to a humble young man teaches us all something important. Money can buy many things. Cars. Houses. Clothes. Toys. But money cannot buy true happiness. Real friendships. Love from family and friends. Respect and kindness. Peace of mind. Ryan learned that the richest people are not those with the most money, but those with the biggest hearts. Gratitude is the key to happiness. When Ryan lived with the village family, he saw how grateful they were for the smallest things: a meal, a smile, a story at night. He realized that when we appreciate what we have, we become truly rich. The world is full of beauty in simple things. A clear river. Stars shining at night. Children's laughter. Sharing food with others. Ryan learned to see with his heart, not just his eyes. Maybe you are watching this story and wondering, how can I be rich like Ryan? You don't need money to start. You need kindness. You need love. You need to share and to care. Start today. Help a friend. Say thank you. Smile at someone. Give a little time. These small actions build a life full of true wealth. The richest person is the one who gives the most love. Thank you for watching this story. If you liked it, please subscribe and share to help others learn the true meaning of wealth.